In a small town, there was a stray dog, affectionately named Max by the locals. Max was known for his gentle nature and sharp instincts. Every day, he would scour the town, searching for scraps of food left behind by kind strangers. What made Max special was his peculiar habit. He would always drop some of his food into a saw grate on the corner of Oak Street. At first, people found it odd. Why would a hungry dog waste food? But as days turned into weeks, Max's routine remained the same. Intrigued, a group of locals decided to follow Max and see what was really going on. One quiet afternoon, they trailed Max as he scurried through town, collecting his food. As expected, he made his way to the saw and dropped a portion of his meal. But what they discovered next brought tears to their eyes. Beneath the saw grate, a soft whimpering could be heard. A family of puppies, trapped in the saw, had been surviving on the food Max faithfully brought them every day. Max had been their protector, ensuring they never went hungry. Touched by his loyalty and love, the townspeople quickly sprang into action, rescuing the puppies and giving Max and his little family a new home. From that day on, Max wasn't just a stray, he was a local hero, and his story touched hearts far and wide. After the puppies were rescued, Max became a local sensation. The once forgotten dog was now the town's beloved hero. People came from all over to offer him food, shelter, and companionship. However, Max's bond with the puppies remained strong, and he refused to leave their side. The townspeople decided to adopt the puppies and Max together, ensuring they could stay as a family. Life for Max and his puppies changed drastically. No longer having to worry about where their next meal would come from, they spent their days playing in the town square, their joyful barks filling the air. The puppies grew stronger every day, thanks to the love and care from the town's new adoptive families. But one day, something unexpected happened. Max began leading people toward the woods at the edge of town. He barked insistently, as if trying to communicate something important. The townspeople, now accustomed to Max's intuition, followed him into the dense forest. As they walked deeper into the woods, they came upon an old, abandoned well. Max circled around it, barking louder and louder. When they peered inside, they saw something that sent shivers down their spines. Another group of stray animals, including cats and small animals, were trapped at the bottom of the well. Just like with the puppies, Max had known all along. His mission wasn't over yet. With the help of the townspeople, these animals were also rescued, and Max's legend grew even greater. Max had become a guardian, not just to the puppies but to all creatures in need. The townspeople erected a statue of Max in the town square, a tribute to the dog who saved so many lives. From then on, Max continued his life surrounded by love and admiration, forever known as the town's brave and loyal protector. Max's legend continued to grow, and as time passed, it seemed like his instincts to protect and care for those in need never wavered. The puppies were now healthy and full of energy, and the town embraced them just as they had embraced Maximum. But despite his new comfortable life, Max's behavior became more peculiar again. One evening, as the sun set and the town grew quiet, Max began acting restless. He paced back and forth near the town square, eyes fixed on the horizon as if sensing something no one else could. Suddenly, without warning, he bolted towards the outskirts of town, running faster than anyone had ever seen him. A few concerned townspeople followed Max, worried something might be wrong. As they ventured farther from the town, they reached a dark, narrow path leading into the hills. Max paused for a moment at the edge of the path, looking back at the people, urging them to follow. They continued on for what felt like miles, the night growing darker. Eventually, they came upon a mysterious cave hidden deep within the hills. Max stood at the entrance, barking urgently. The townspeople hesitated, unsure of what lay ahead. What could Max have possibly discovered this time? With flashlights in hand, they slowly entered the cave, their steps echoing off the stone walls. Max led them deeper and deeper, until finally, they reached the heart of the cave. There, they found something that left them speechless: an ancient, long-forgotten underground network of tunnels. Strange markings lined the walls, and the faint sound of water trickling could be heard. But that wasn't all. In the corner of the cave, shivering and scared, were more animals, a mix of abandoned pets and wild creatures, hiding in the shadows. It was as if Max had uncovered yet another secret, another group in need of his protection. This time, however, the mystery seemed deeper than before, as the cave's markings hinted at a hidden history tied to the town itself. The townspeople exchanged glances, realizing that their journey with Max was far from over. The true meaning of the cave and its markings would need to be unraveled, and Max's incredible instincts had once again led them to something far beyond their understanding. The discovery of the cave and its mysterious markings sparked a new curiosity in the town. Historians, archaeologists, and animal experts were called in to investigate. The strange symbols on the walls appeared ancient, predating any known records of the town. They told a story, a legend about a guardian who would protect the land and its creatures. As experts tried to decipher the full meaning, Max continued to visit the cave every day, as if drawn to it by an invisible force. It wasn't just about the animals anymore, there was something deeper at play, something waiting to be uncovered. One day, a local archaeologist noticed a peculiar pattern in the markings. It pointed to a hidden chamber deeper within the cave, one that had been sealed off for centuries. With the town's support, they began excavating the area, determined to see what lay beyond. As they worked, Max stood watch, barking occasionally as if urging them to hurry. What they found, however, was beyond anything they could have imagined, a hidden relic, glowing faintly, etched with more of the mysterious symbols. The relic seemed to hum with an ancient energy, as if it had been waiting for someone or something to find it. Max stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the relic. The air around him seemed to shift, and for a moment, it felt as though the cave itself was alive, reacting to his presence. The townspeople stood in awe, realizing that Max wasn't just an ordinary dog. He was connected to something far greater, a protector not just of the animals but of the town's forgotten past. What secrets did the relic hold? And why had Max been drawn to it? The answers lay hidden within the relic, and Max's journey was far from over. The relic pulsed with a soft, rhythmic glow as Max cautiously approached it. The air around the cave grew colder, and the faint hum from the relic intensified. It was as if the ancient artifact had been waiting for Max all along, responding to his presence in a way no one could explain. The archaeologists, now convinced that the relic held powerful significance, were eager to examine it more closely. But as they reached out to touch it, Max let out a low growl, stepping protectively in front of the artifact. It was clear he didn't want anyone to interfere, as though he understood its power better than they did. The faint hum from the relic intensified. It was as if the ancient artifact had been waiting for Max all along, responding to his presence in a way no one could explain. The archaeologists, now convinced that the relic held powerful significance, were eager to examine it more closely. But as they reached out to touch it, Max let out a low growl, stepping protectively in front of the artifact. It was clear he didn't want anyone to interfere, as though he understood its power better than they did. The townspeople, respecting Max's instincts, backed away, unsure of what to do next. They could only watch as Max circled the relic, his eyes locked on it as if searching for answers. Suddenly, the markings on the cave walls began to glow, mirroring the light from the relic. The symbols illuminated the entire chamber, casting eerie shadows on the stone. A quiet rumble echoed through the cave, and then, as if on cue, a hidden door slid open at the far end of the cavern. Behind it was a tunnel leading deeper into the earth. Max wasted no time, darting toward the newly revealed passage. The townspeople hesitated, exchanging nervous glances. This was no ordinary cave, and Max was no ordinary dog. But they had come too far to turn back now. Gathering their courage, they followed Max into the tunnel, deeper than they had ever ventured before. The air grew damp and heavy, and strange sounds echoed from the unseen depths ahead. It felt as though the cave itself was alive, guiding them toward something long forgotten. At the end of the tunnel, they found themselves in a massive underground chamber, much larger than the first. In the center stood a stone pedestal, upon which rested a massive, intricately carved stone tablet. The symbols on the tablet matched those they had seen in the cave, but these seemed to tell a much more complex story. Max sat in front of the tablet, his gaze fixed on it, as if waiting for the others to understand. The archaeologists stepped forward, cautiously examining the carvings. They realized the tablet told the full story of the ancient guardian, a creature that had protected the town and its inhabitants from an ancient danger. But as they deciphered more, they grew alarmed. The tablet also warned of something that had been sealed away deep within the earth, something that would awaken if the balance was disturbed. Max had led them here, not just to uncover the past but to warn them of the future. Whatever danger the tablet spoke of, it was still out there, and the town was once again in need of its protector. Max, the loyal stray dog, had known all along. The realization of what the tablet warned about left the townspeople in stunned silence. Max sat motionless, his eyes reflecting the glowing symbols, as if he understood every word inscribed on the ancient stone. The weight of the moment hung heavily in the air, but they knew this was only the beginning. Suddenly, a loud rumbling shook the ground beneath their feet, sending dust and loose stones tumbling from the cave walls. The tunnel they had come through began to collapse, trapping them in the vast underground chamber. Panic surged through the group, but Max remained calm, standing firm as the tremors subsided. One of the archaeologists, trembling, pointed to the tablet. The last set of symbols they hadn't yet deciphered was glowing brighter than the rest. With shaking hands, they worked quickly to understand its meaning. When they did, a chilling message emerged: the Guardian must awaken the ancient power to stop the darkness. The townspeople exchanged fearful glances. The tablet seemed to speak of Max, their loyal protector, as the Guardian. But what was the ancient power it spoke of? And what was the darkness that threatened them all? Max walked to the base of the pedestal and placed his paw on an engraving at the bottom of the tablet. As soon as he touched it, the ground beneath them shifted, revealing a hidden staircase leading even deeper into the earth. Without hesitation, Max began descending into the unknown, the glow from the tablet guiding his way. The group, now filled with both fear and awe, followed him down the stairs, their footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. The deeper they went, the more they realized that this journey was far greater than anything they had imagined. Max was not just leading them to safety, he was leading them to the very heart of the mystery that had been buried for centuries. At the bottom of the staircase, they emerged into a hidden sanctuary. In the center of the room stood a massive stone altar, surrounded by more ancient symbols. But this time, the markings were different, older, more powerful, and they glowed with a fiery intensity. Above the altar, a large stone door was sealed. Max approached the altar and let out a soft whimper. The townspeople realized that whatever was behind that door held the key to stopping the darkness. But would it also unleash something far worse? As they pondered their next move, the stone door began to tremble, reacting to Max's presence. Slowly, it started to open, revealing a dimly lit chamber beyond. Inside, a massive figure, once dormant, began to stir. The ancient power had awakened. As the massive stone door creaked open, a wave of cold air rushed out, sending chills through the group. The dimly lit chamber beyond seemed endless, shadows flickering against the walls as the ancient power stirred to life. Max stood at the threshold, his posture tense but resolute, as if he knew this was the moment he had been waiting for. The massive figure within the chamber slowly rose from its slumber. It was a towering, ancient creature, its form made of stone and roots, with glowing blue eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. It resembled something between a guardian of the earth and an elemental force, bound by the magic of the relics and the ancient symbols etched into the walls. Max took a step forward, letting out a deep bark that echoed through the chamber. The creature turned its glowing gaze toward him, and for a moment, it seemed as if the two beings, one a stray dog, the other a primordial force, were communicating in a way no one else could understand. The townspeople watched in stunned silence as the creature extended one of its massive arms toward Maximum. Its hand hovered above him, and then slowly, it rested against the ground. The ancient power had recognized Max as the new guardian, the one destined to protect the town from the looming darkness. But just as the creature acknowledged Max, the ground trembled once again, far more violently than before. The darkness the tablet had warned about was awakening, and it wasn't far away. From deep within the earth, an ominous growl echoed through the cave, sending a shiver down everyone's spine. Tight, with carvings of strange, ominous figures watching over it, the ancient creature stood tall, readying itself for the battle that was about to unfold. The townspeople, though terrified, felt a strange sense of hope. They weren't alone in this fight. Max, the loyal dog who had once been a stray, was now standing at the forefront of something far greater than any of them had imagined. Max barked once more, a signal to the townspeople that they needed to leave. The battle that was coming would not be one they could face. But before they could turn to flee, the darkness revealed itself, a swirling, monstrous entity of shadows and malice, rising from the depths of the cave like a living storm. Max stood at the edge of the town, gazing into the distant forest. The trees rustled with an unfamiliar wind, and for the first time in weeks, Max felt a deep sense of purpose stir within him. He knew he couldn't ignore it. Late that night, when the town was fast asleep, Max began his journey into the unknown. He moved swiftly and silently through the woods, following the invisible trail that only he could sense. The forest, dense and wild, seemed to part for him, as if acknowledging his new role as guardian. He passed rivers, climbed hills, and ventured farther than he had ever gone before. Hours turned into days, and Max pressed on, the call growing stronger with each step. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Max arrived at a hidden valley surrounded by towering mountains. At its center, a crumbling stone temple stood, overgrown with vines and moss. It was ancient, older even than the cave he had found back in town. Max cautiously approached the temple, its aura filled with an overwhelming sense of history and power. As he entered through the worn stone archway, a strange silence fell over the valley. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and faded murals covered the walls depicting creatures, both familiar and strange, locked in an eternal battle against an unknown force. In the center of the temple lay another relic, much like the one Max had discovered before. But this one was different. Its light was faint, flickering as if it were fading away. Max realized this was the source of the call. It was asking for his help. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from the shadows, and out of the darkness emerged a figure, a creature unlike anything Max had ever seen. It was an ancient being, bound to the relic much like the guardian from the cave. But this creature wasn't there to protect, it was there to destroy. The relic's light flickered once more, and Max stood firm, knowing that his new challenge had only just begun. The battle to protect not just the town, but the world beyond, was far from over. With a deep breath and the courage of a true guardian, Max prepared for what lay ahead. Max stood in the ancient temple, the flickering relic casting faint shadows across the crumbling walls. The air was thick with tension as the ancient creature emerged from the darkness, its form twisted and monstrous, a harbinger of destruction. Its eyes glowed with malice, and its presence alone seemed to sap the life from the very air around them. Max, the loyal dog turned guardian, remained steadfast, his golden fur shimmering faintly with the relic's fading light. He knew that this battle was different from the one before. The creature before him was not just an adversary, it was a force of chaos, bound to the fading relic in a twisted mockery of the ancient guardianship. As the creature advanced, Max let out a low growl, his body tensing for the inevitable clash. But just before the creature could strike, a strange energy pulsed through the temple. The murals on the walls began to glow, depicting a story that had long been forgotten, a tale of ancient guardians who once stood against the forces of chaos. Max's eyes flicked to the images, recognizing the same symbols that had been etched into the cave back in the town. The relic responded to the murals, its light flaring briefly before dimming again. Max understood then that the relic was the key, but it was dying. If its light extinguished completely, the chaos creature would be unstoppable. He had to act quickly. Drawing upon his newfound connection to the relic, Max moved with precision and courage. He lunged at the creature, dodging its massive claws and snapping jaws, his movements guided by an instinct far beyond his own. The fight was brutal, and the temple shook with the force of their battle. Stone pillars crumbled, and dust filled the air, but Max never faltered. In a final desperate move, Max leapt toward the relic, placing his paw on the fading light once more. The relic pulsed weakly, responding to his touch, but it wasn't enough. Max realized he needed to awaken the true power of the ancient guardians, the power that had been sealed within the relic for centuries. Summoning all his strength, Max howled a long, echoing cry that resonated through the valley. The sound of his call seemed to reach far beyond the temple, traveling across the mountains and forests. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the murals on the walls flared to life, their light merging with the relics. The ancient power of the Guardians had awakened. The relic blazed with brilliant light, filling the temple with energy. The chaos creature let out a shriek as the light engulfed it, burning away the darkness that had consumed it. The creature thrashed wildly, but it was no match for the combined strength of the relic and Max's courage. As the light grew brighter, the creature dissolved into nothingness, leaving only silence in its wake. The relic's glow stabilized, and the temple settled into stillness once more. Max stood panting, his body glowing faintly with the remnants of the ancient power. He had done it. He had protected the world from the chaos, just as the ancient guardians had done before him. But as the light of the relic dimmed once again, Max knew that his journey was not yet over. The murals told of other relics, scattered across the world, each holding a fragment of the Guardian's power. And as long as those relics remained in danger, Max would continue his quest. The ancient Guardians had returned, and Max was now their leader. Max stood in the now quiet temple, the last echoes of the chaos creature's destruction fading into the distance. The relic's glow had dimmed, but it pulsed with a steady rhythm, a testament to the power Max had awakened within it. The ancient murals on the walls no longer flickered, they now stood vibrant and alive, their story of ancient guardians fully. Max, still catching his breath, gazed around the temple. The weight of the journey he had been on, from a simple stray dog to the protector of his town and now a true guardian, settled on him. He had fought bravely, protected those who could not protect themselves, and defeated forces that had threatened the very balance of the world. But now, as the battle was won and the darkness banished, he felt a deep sense of peace. The relic, though weakened, had fulfilled its purpose. Its light would continue to protect this sacred place, just as Max would continue to protect his home. But the call that had driven him here, the invisible force that had led him across forests and mountains, was no longer pulling him forward. His mission was complete. Max turned toward the temple's entrance, the path back to his town stretched out before him. As he stepped outside, the valley greeted him with a calm breeze, the sky painted in soft hues of dawn. The world seemed at peace, and Max knew that, for now, it was safe. He made his way back home, passing through the familiar forests and hills, until the town came into view. The people greeted him with joy and relief, embracing their beloved guardian. They could see the change in him, the wisdom and strength that now radiated from his once ordinary form. Max had become more than just a loyal companion, he was a legend, a symbol of hope and bravery. The townspeople gathered around the monument they had built in his honor, laying flowers and lighting candles in tribute to his courage. Max, ever humble, simply wagged his tail and lay at the foot of the monument, content to be among the people he had sworn to protect.